Beginning in the late 1980s, the Hall of Fame maintained a permanent exhibit in the old Wayne County building until it closed in 2009. Thanks to the efforts of the Wayne County Council for the Arts, History, and Humanities and Wayne County Executive Warren Evans administration, we were able to facilitate its transfer to the Wright Museum. Please welcome to the stage Wayne County Executive Warren Evans, along with the Council's Executive Committee, President Jocelyn Rainey, Vice President Betty Mezzaraca, Communications Liaison Renetta Seals Evans, Treasurer Jan Hiller, and Secretary Pamela Fucci. First, you'll hear from Wayne County Executive Evans, followed by Ms. Rainey. Please welcome them.
Good evening, everyone. Everybody's car is nice and clean now. All the undercarriages are clear and all of that. Really glad for you to be here. It's really an important evening for me. So I want to thank you tonight for joining us in this celebration and thanking the Wright Museum for hosting us in this wonderful venue. I want to thank Andy Gutman and the Farbman Group for being gracious sponsors for this event. These things don't happen free. And if you know anything about Wayne County's history, we don't have any money. But we're getting better every day. I also want to thank the Wayne County Council for the Arts, History, and Humanities for the executive board members are here. It's been my feeling, and Renata Seals Evans, my wife, Betty Mezzaraca, Pamela Fucci, and Jocelyn Rainey, who is the current chair. My charge to them when I took this office was we really want to elevate the Council of the Arts to another level. And as the city starts to grow and as the city starts to come back, I think it's very, very important that we remember things like the importance of the arts and humanity and sports and those other things that bring a cultural heritage or have a cultural heritage that are really important to all of us. And so thank you very much for the Council for the work that you've done. I also want to honor Elmer Anderson, currently deceased, but Elmer and his partner Art Finney are the guys who started this Sports Hall of Fame, African-American Sports Hall of Fame and Gallery. And anybody who's been involved in those kinds of activities understand how much work is involved in doing that. It is not an easy task or an easy feat at all. When they first got the first display in the old Wayne County building, and Chuck Stokes mentioned that, and I'm ancient enough to remember that. My office was on that hallway at that time in my life. I was chief of staff to the Wayne County Commission. And I remember seeing the exhibits every day and remembering a very prideful feeling that you get when you see things like that. The folks that were the courage people. And if you think particularly Negro Leagues, but I don't want to say particularly any of the trailblazing African-American heroes, the two things that always stand out in my mind. One is it takes a very courageous person to put all they've got on the line in any competition with anybody at any time. It is also very, very significant to think about the fact that nobody in this world is comfortable with being a second-class citizen. And that probably goes double with athletes. It's just the competition. It's the part of them. And so with the Negro Leagues, let's think about a couple of things. I mean, one is, and I just take them as an example, but certainly the cutting-edge people in every sport is very, very similar. But the Negro Leagues was one where you saw not only great athletes. I mean, we had a Josh Gibson that even Babe Ruth said probably could hit home runs better than he could. Satchel Paige, who could still pitch with the best of them in his 40s. Turkey Stearns, you name it, Cool Papa Bell. I remember my father always telling me about Cool Papa Bell, who everybody thought was one of the fastest runners, still think, in history. And I mean, the kind of guy that they figured would run with Jesse Owens. So my father always told me how fast he was. Some of you heard the story, some of you haven't. Cool Papa Bell was so fast that when he went to bed at night and cut out the bedroom lights, he was under the covers before the room got dark. Now that's fast. But certainly, you know, those guys wanted to be able to play against the best everywhere, and for a lot of time that they couldn't. And, you know, I can remember my father and others being so happy when Jackie Robinson got a chance to come up to the Brooklyn Dodgers because it gave an opportunity to play against the best. But there's a downside to that, and there's an evolution in sports, and I want you to kind of think about it. In the Negro Leagues, there were great ball players. They played with each other. They wanted an opportunity to compete against the best everywhere. But just think about the institutions that we lost when the Negro Leagues dissipated. I mean, we're all excited. I mean, Jackie got a chance to play professional ball, and the history is there. But think about the black owners, the Rube Johnsons, the coaches, the managers, the whole industry of baseball dissipated in the African-American community with the integration into the major leagues. And a lot of side businesses, too. I mean, where the stadiums were, there were other businesses that were run by people of color that was significant to those communities. Do I think it was a mistake to lose the league? No, I don't think it was a mistake, but I think there's a reality to understand that there were a lot of benefits that inured to communities of color when we had those leagues. And the thing that always sticks out in my mind is while they wanted to compete against what they felt was the best in the country, people like me would say they were the best in the country anyway. But it's something to think about. But really, you know, when I was chief of staff to the commission and I saw the display, we moved from the old Wayne County building to the Guardian building, and, you know, I even admit I lost track of it for a while. And I'm so glad that the Council of the Arts and others realized that this stuff was mothballed in a building. And if any of you have passed the old Wayne County building, there was always a vagrant or two sleeping inside or a door down or something else during the years it wasn't being used. Just how important it is and how lucky we are that these things were preserved and kept. And if you look at the major leagues now, you know, we probably have the fewest number of African Americans in the Major League Baseball now than we've had in 60, 70 years. It's exhibits like this that will help kids understand the history of ball players of color. And, you know, many of you are minorities here, you know what I'm saying. If a black kid sees somebody doing something, he knows he can do it. Somebody looks like him doing something, he knows he can do it. And so the importance of seeing this, I think, is tremendously important for those kids. I also would absolutely be remiss if I didn't thank Mrs. Hassan, who is the sister of Elmer Anderson, for working with us so strongly. Is she here? Where is she? Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I always put the celebrities in the back. Well, she can hear me. Want to thank her so much for working with us to be able to help the Council of the Arts and others get these things back out so we could put them out somewhere. I mean, it's important that she did that. She wanted to share the history. Elmer Anderson told a story about when he met with Satchel Paige, and Satchel Paige told him, do not let this history die. And that stuck with Elmer, and he worked extremely hard, and they got it done, and it's important. You know, I spent some time in Kansas City at the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame talking to Buck O'Neill, who's still amazing. Buck has since died, but he was probably about 92 when he was running me up and down the stairs showing me all of the things at the museum there. And I just remember the tremendous pride I felt in how hard he promoted Major League Baseball and how hard he worked to make sure kids saw it as a viable option, not only to be a professional and make money at it, but just the camaraderie, the skill, the things that go into being successful in just about whatever you do in life. And so I'm just extremely glad you're here. I could probably talk all night about Josh Gibson and everybody else, and I'm not going to do that. I think there's an excellent program here tonight. I hope you all enjoy the program. And again, I appreciate all of you coming out. Now that you know the exhibit's here, let's get some folks down to see it. Thank you very, very much.